How are you guys doing? This is Martin from Gardens for Life. So this week I'm going to show you the new garden again. It's a no-dig garden and we just basically planted it up about a month and a half ago now, I believe. And definitely great progress has been made. We didn't show you that last week, so stay tuned. We also are going to show you a couple other bits and things that we've been up to this week as well as part of the vlog. And for those of you wondering what plant this is, it is actually purple tree spinach. Unfortunately, it doesn't last beyond the frost, but it's definitely a really good vegetable to have, and it grows in abundance throughout the growing season, all the way up until the first hard frost. Definitely well worth growing. Probably need to start that off a bit earlier than now though. One other thing we like about summer is the sunflowers. It was actually the first time this year that we've been growing them very successfully, and we're hoping to also harvest the seed heads as well. If anyone here has any experience with that, please let us know in the comments below, because we don't really know when to harvest them. And do we just dry them and then store them? Sure, let us know. Maybe you can even make your own oil if you have enough of them. Just a quick reminder, if you want to support the work we do, you can become a member of the Gardens for Life support community. And I'll just put a link below. You get all kinds of benefits like 25% off everything we do and all of the items on our shop, including the winter selection, which has just gone live just in the last couple of weeks. So please take a look at our website and you can avail of all kinds of different perennial vegetables and ancient edible tubers, and also willow cuttings and hybrid poplars as well. All sorts of bits and pieces. Please let us know if you have any questions in the comments below. All support is highly appreciated. Even if you just give us a thumbs up, we'd highly appreciate it too. Look at the magnificent pineapple sage. We are going to propagate that. It's a really nice aroma and flavour when you make a tea from it too. Well, that's how you know your electric fence is working, when you get it earthen with a shock. A nice zap out of that. 1.3 joules. Plenty for 50-metre poultry netting. Should take care of any kind of fox. We couldn't quite take you along for the cleanup of our brassica island, but we did collect a whole bunch of seeds. It is just starting to rain, as you might be able to hear, and we want to collect those seeds just before they get wet, or before the seed pods get wet. Take a look. Pile of seeds in the bottom of these husks. Look. They're all kale seeds. Sutherland has actually been named the variety. It's a perennial variety, apparently so. And we'll see how they do here. We've also managed to clean up our brassica island just a bit before the rain. So hopefully some of the seeds will actually germinate here that have dropped off those plants. Hopefully we'll get a little ocean of kale plants here, and hopefully it'll be just as good a variety as Sutherland is. And we have a new hedgehog pile, or insect pile, as you can see here. We can then access that from our new garden right here and just kind of throw things on top of it, which is always handy. And we'll suppress this grass here with cardboard, I'd say. It's the handiest. I don't think I'm going to bother tearing it all up. Bit too much work. Okay. And the rain is starting. I better get some rabbit food. Bit of grass and clover and plantain. Nice mixture of greens. Bit of kale thrown in too. So we got a box full of husks here now, and seeds in the bottom, as you can see underneath. So what we'll do now is, we should have probably removed all of the seeds by now, because you can see the husks are all split in half. So we rolled them between our hands. And all we need to do is put those away. Make sure there's no seeds stuck to them. I'll continue the process till I'm done, and I'll show you how many seeds we've got. So the best way to deal with it at the end here is just to tilt the box and then shake it, and then we can get all of the husks off the top. We'll try not to lose too many seeds when we pick them up. Definitely a good few seeds in it. We'll be sharing those with our community. Well, that's you guys. At least anyone here in Europe or in Ireland. Usually we share our seeds that we save ourselves in our gardens with anyone we get the opportunity to share them with. Anyone we meet or anyone that orders something from our website, so we'll just send them on. There's a sample packet. There's definitely a lot of seeds here. Oh, we'll clean those up. There may be a little few insects in it, so we're going to put that in a tray and just leave it sit there for a while. So you get yourself a tray with no holes in the bottom because you don't want to lose all your seeds, and you just dump your seeds into it. Shake it around a little bit. We'll remove the rest of the husks as we go. But the main thing is to just leave them like that, maybe on a table in a greenhouse for a day, or at least half a day, just to let the insects escape. Any insects that are in here, we don't want those to end up in the packet of seeds, so we'll just put those here, somewhere where it can definitely not fall. And that's all there is to it. Brassicas are great for seed production, especially kale. You can get some serious amount of seeds. We have ours geographically split as well, so that we don't get too much cross pollination. But we'll see what kind of mix comes out of this now. This is mainly Sutherland. That was the mother plants anyway. We'll see if that actually mixed with some of our surrounding kales. Definitely could be no harm to mix in some red Russian kale, I figured, and Portuguese kale as well. These are red Russian kale seeds. You can see we definitely got a good few. These are our oriental poppy seeds. These are the giant red poppies, just like the ones found in traditional cottage gardens. What are you doing up there? How did you get up there? You too. All right. If anyone here watching has a seed swap going on, or if you have like community garden or anything like that, please give us a shout. Just go to gardenforlife.ie/contact and let us know, because we'll send you out a few seeds to share. Well, would you look at that? Who is that over here? Sleeping in the flower pot. Good boy, Shelley. You're alright. You picked the one flower pot, or the one bucket where there's nothing planted, really. So this week we started a whole bunch more plants. Some Japanese wineberries, some special varieties of elder, some pineapple sage, and some other berries as well. I think it's boysenberry and hops as well, and some of our own currants. I figured this is a good way to start plants in the warmth here for September, October, maybe even into November. They'll actually root and grow, and then we have them ready to go, rather than taking the rooted cuttings out of the crates and separating them and severing them. There's a few more here too, because by the time they root in a crate, and then if we pot them up, it'll be too late, it'll be too cold for them to grow. This way we won't have to disturb the roots for them, because the potting compost is just about fertile enough for the plant to actually grow for a few weeks anyway, for 6 weeks, but it's also sterile enough. That means it's not too fertile that it's going to rot while it's rooting, or before it roots I should say. So I think potting soil is a good way to go, as long as you keep it watered, but never overwater. That's the important thing when you're doing cuttings. And we still have more grapes. These grapes are so good. Here, look at these. These grapes are really good. I wish you could buy grapes like that in a shop, but then again, why bother buying them when you have them at home? Well, for at least a seasonal month of the year. Probably we had these from mid-August until, probably will have them until the middle of September, if we haven't eaten them all by then. There's also some other grapes over here. Much larger bunches, so maybe less likely for them to ripen, but they are. It's a huge bunch of grapes, look at that. Isn't that nice? And there's some grass here too. That needs to be pulled away. Let's try one. Yeah, it's nice, but not quite ready. We'll leave it here. This is the box the cats sleep in, so they take care of the greenhouse here, making sure that no rodents will come in and eat our seeds. We have some other plants here growing too. They're all grown from seed. We're drying a few dandelions here too. Couldn't really be bothered using the dehydrator for just that bit, because it takes up too much space. One more thing in this greenhouse to show you is actually this figs. This is a Desert King, is the variety, and you can see it does definitely need to be cut back because it's kind of hidden ceiling here. We're going to cut those back shortly now, and we're going to use them for cuttings. I haven't had that much success with fig cuttings this year, but we'll give it another try, and we'll try to use this very method that we're using for rooting berry bushes as well. I think it'll work. I'm doing a little test over here with a brown turkey fig right here. We're actually just training this grapevine up this way, and we are making sure that we're not going to grow it in between the plastic and the pipe. We're just going to, instead we're just tying it on with some wire, and here too, even on the bars here. We don't want to wrap it around it, because in case we want to actually move it later, it'll make it much easier, I think, to even manipulate it or train it more later. And actually, I have no idea where that particular vine here comes from. Somewhere over here from our fruit bed, as I would call it. There's all kinds of different fruits here. There's like 3 different grapes. There's a kiwi, although we need to find a male one for that one, and a fig, and also one of our Mount Auser willows in here too, which flowers pink in springtime, and a goji berry. It's nice to have a bit of green too in the greenhouse. Maybe that's why it's called greenhouse, because you're supposed to have a bit of green in it, not just tables with plants. A little bit of ambience is nice. We got some more Glaston's perpetual rhubarb from the other greenhouse, and we're going to pot it up. And these artichoke plants, Violetta Sciogio, we're going to plant those directly into a garden bed. Now this is actually where our elephant garlic was planted, about 3 beds of it, and we're just using the space as a follow-on crop to make the most of the space, basically just to grow on some plants until December for about 3 months. And we're just going to plant the elephant garlic elsewhere. We don't actually practice rotation However, we just feel that we use the garden space or each garden bed as much as we can for the whole year. Alright, that's them all done. On to the next project. So I got some compost left in the wheelbarrow here. Usually we add a little bit of seaweed dust and volcanic rock dust if we're potting up plants, because the rooting space is very limited, especially in a 2 litre pot. We found anything smaller than 2 litre is not worthwhile, because the plant can actually survive in a 2 litre pot for a year and a half or 2 years if it doesn't get moved on. So we can just fill it up loosely and then push it down lightly, make a hole just about the same size as the seedling. You can see it here. They're definitely very fragile in the beginning, a bit flimsy, so you need to be careful handling them and even prop them up just a little bit with the compost, but not too much. You don't want to go too far beyond the point of origin, which is where the seed started, because it might go rotten. And this will grow. That's a plant. That's a rhubarb. Well, it's good stuff. This compost is now a year old, so you can see that was actually delivered in September last year, and it's been sitting there in a pile. Unfortunately, of course, the weed seeds and the nettles have taken over it, but only partially, of course. We have been trying to keep them off it, and we did well.
I want to say something too.
Yeah, go on.
I like filling up pots. They make me hungry.
Alright, working makes you hungry. Good man. Says the man that just had dinner. Now, 1.5 wheelbarrows later, and we are done. We've done about 10 lemon balm plants and probably about 20 or 25 rhubarb plants. Alright, that took about a half an hour, not bad. This was actually some volunteer kale that grew here out in the field, and you can see the caterpillars have fairly eaten it up. We don't mind, it's food for the birds, and the butterflies are good for the ecosystem and for pollination, so we'll keep them. But here, this is what I wanted to show you. We had this covered in black plastic, like so, just like this. And it was completely gone when we took it up. It was all completely, just no weeds left at all. And as you can see, after only about 2.5 months, it completely has come back. The existing vegetation has indeed survived, and but the ferns are easy to pull up. We can do that, and we'll just cover the grasses again and the docks with some plastic when we get a chance. I have a feeling we should probably keep this covered until we're ready, until we have compost. And if we had covered this with compost straight away, we would have been okay. All the smaller weeds would have been smothered by the compost itself, but the ferns definitely would have popped up through. But by the time they do, they would have been quite weak, and we would have been able to pull them up even easier. So now we have extra work on our hands because we did uncover it in order to use the plastic in the next spot here. So yeah, I guess the only answer is covering one area at a time and then covering it immediately with compost. And by the way, if you were to do this on a bigger scale, like say several acres or even 5-10 acres or more on a farm, you should definitely probably consider just chopping and dropping. Basically just you would just cut the grass and leave it in situ so that it kind of fertilizes the ground, and that way you can build fertility as well. So this is our pizza garden actually. This is year 3. And you can see it is definitely a little messier than it used to be, and there's more perennials. The perennials are definitely showing up more and more. And some of these currant bushes, we're keeping them just to see if they actually become a nice variety. Here's orphrey. We'll just push that in the ground. We planted some black magic, which is like a different version of the Nero kale, here in this garden bed, which we recently cleaned up. This is the Daubenton kale. It's nice and serrated. You can see here the great mullein stalks are now finished, and those will be making seeds now in the pods. They may even be ripe already. Yes, they are. Look at that. So those will become available again on our website. These are fennel plants. There's a fennel patch that has kind of taken over 2.5 garden beds at this point. That's okay though, because we'll just chop them back and we'll take the seeds before we do. You can see there's lots more mullein plants here. We love great mullein because the leaves are really good for the lungs. And this is some spinach. Matador is the name of the variety. And some carrots that have finally grown to full size. I haven't had much success with carrots this year. I planted 2 more beds, but both of them didn't really sprout properly. They didn't really germinate very well. And probably because it was so dry. We had a few dry spells here in the summer and I didn't water them enough. So this is the new garden, which we added on to our pizza garden. The dahlias here too, you can see, and the pollinators are all over it. We have some marshmallow plants here, some yacon, red hot pokers and echinaceas. All kinds of nice flowering plants, but also some vegetables as well. These are There's a comfrey plant, I couldn't think of it there, and some thyme beside that. You can see it really has greened up a good bit. We can probably take away that plastic now at this point because we were smothering the grass underneath. We definitely had more grass popping up here and there. Let me show you. But that's just the way it is when you don't use enough cardboard, or if you just get a digger to scrape it. I think you're definitely better off to smother the grass completely, either with plastic or with a thick layer of cardboard, just to make sure it doesn't come through. If we had been putting enough compost down, if we had been putting down more than 5 inches of compost here, we would have been better off. It would have smothered an awful lot more. But obviously the bindweed, you could put down a metre of wood chips on top of the bindweed and it'll still come through. If you keep pulling it up, you can see it's kind of easy enough to pull up, although it tends to break somewhere along the way. Yeah, you can deplete it of its resources, so of its strength. You can see the pumpkins are getting there too, and the beetroots. Definitely a bit of grass popping up here and there. This needs to be addressed fairly soon. These are the Oxalis triangularis. Really nice flavour, the flowers and the leaves. Those are some of the rhubarb plants. They grow so quickly. We're going to avail those to you on our website as a bare root plant, just the stool itself. Oh, well, let's take a walk here. A red Russian kale. I believe there is a load of caterpillars eating our brassicas, because I can tell there's another butterfly. I bet you he was laying eggs, or she. She must have been laying an egg there. Let's take a look. If you see little yellow or white little spots, here is a caterpillar, look at him. And another one there too. What I'll do with them, I don't kill them, I don't throw them to the chickens. I just throw them in the hedge. Somewhere far away from me brassicas, they can go and eat something else. There you go, bye bye. You can see the celery is actually growing really well. Hopefully that'll keep itself through the winter, so we have some of it for soups then. It's nice to have a soup with some celery and brassicas like the kales in the winter time especially. And lovage would be a nice herb to add to. These are some lemon balm. And this is ashwagandha, which is Indian ginseng. Our beans are actually coming along too. So you might actually let those go to full size and then harvest the beans inside the pods. And these are the Egyptian onions, or Egyptian walking onions. They're already growing this time of year and they'll do very well through the winter. Those have been sold out completely now. There's none left available. So if you were lucky enough to get some before they were sold out, you can get those planted in the ground before the winter and then they'll actually have a good start next year. They're perennial anyway, so they'll be okay. All these little thistle seedlings, thistle seeds just come flying in by the thousands and they're a real problem. But if you catch them early, they're easy to pull up. Even if they get a little bigger, they'll be okay. This area needs a bit of weeding. There's some yacon and some great mullein plants. I'm not actually too sure. I did a seed mix here in this area. You can see it didn't really seed very evenly, unfortunately, but it's okay. We have the area definitely filled. And I wonder if that's actually a parsley. Or sorry, not a parsley, a parsnip. Can anyone tell me if that's parsnip? Maybe I'll just pull one up to see what it looks like. Is that parsnip? Anyone tell me? It probably is now. It's probably too young or too early to tell. But we will see. You can see the chard. Isn't it so ornamental? It's very nice. Even it's rainbow chard, so it does bring a bit of colour into the garden too. And provides you with an abundance of food for both yourself and your animals, even throughout the winter, because it's actually completely frost hardy, even though the leaves are a bit flimsy. Here there are some potatoes and some Madeira vine. Not actually sure what this is, some kind of brassica anyway. We'll find out when it gets bigger. And these are some potatoes that have grown very well. We'll see if we get a crop from them. Maybe, maybe not. We don't expect one, but hopefully. These are some thyme plants. You can see everything is growing very well. Even the Portuguese kale. I'm sure there is loads of caterpillars all over the place. Here's another seed mix that we done up. It's mostly red Russian kale, because we haven't got that much red Russian kale here in this garden. And it's handy to have it because we always give our chickens some fresh greens every day, because I believe it's only fair on them, because you're a jungle bird. You should not be feeding them a pure 100% grain-based diet. Can't be good for anyone. This is beetroot. Shiogio, which is the one with the pink and white kind of stripes when you cut it open. Yeah, so that's our new garden. There's a few leeks growing here and there as well. And let me see. Hopefully these leeks will grow to size before the winter so we can use them for something. Maybe they'll grow through the winter. Here's some bindweed. It's very hard to get rid of it because you can't really pull it up because it breaks so easily. Luckily the rabbits love eating bindweed. They also love eating willow leaves as well, so we give them to them. And I have yet to clean up this bit. Definitely needs to be addressed before it gets too wild and takes over the adjacent garden bed. And these are some Sutherland kale plants that have gone to seed. Definitely ready to harvest. We're going to do that today because we're meant to get a lot of rain later on today. So we better get these while they're dry. And then we can plant some other bits and pieces here, unless there's already some self-seeded kale plants growing here. And that's it. This is that there. And this is a horseradish plant. Horseradish is really good if you have, especially if you have a problem with the lung, like if you're hard of breathing. Plenty of marshmallow plants here and there. Some of them will keep, some of them will dig up in the winter time and send them out to you guys. Oh yes, there's one more plant here, feverfew. Definitely well worth growing. It's a good plant medicinally too. Of course, one more thing worth mentioning is actually that our autumn raspberries, or our raspberries are actually now fruiting on this year's canes, because they're prima cane. They fruit both in early summer and in September, in autumn. So they're fruiting for the second time around now this year. And those will be coming in over the next couple of weeks or 3 weeks, which is always a nice bonus to have, because especially our son likes to go around the garden and look for berries, even rose hips. These are actually very edible. You can just pick it if it's soft, and if it comes off the stem very easily. This one is not quite ready. That's when you know it's ready. And you can then just eat the flesh around this seed ball in the middle. And here is a bit of trumpet flower, or also known as bindweed. We do not want it to go to seed around here, so we'll take these bindweed and feed them to the rabbits. It's hard to get rid of bindweed because it's hard to even get to the bottom of it, and even if you cut it off at the bottom, it'll just come back from the roots. It's hard to... I'm sure all of you have had your battles with bindweed, but at least I don't mind. You know, I'm actually doing function stacking by harvesting bindweed or weeding it and then feeding it to our rabbits. So in that sense, we're doing 2 things in one go. So I don't mind doing it. Alright folks, thanks a million for watching the video. For those of you who flies. The flies are so bad around this time. Thanks a million for watching the video, guys. For those of you who stuck around to the end, if you like this video, you might like this video. Otherwise, we will see you at the next one. See you later. Bye bye.